Welcome everybody to the Greater Pittsburgh Gun Club and the Area 8 Championship. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great, Dave. It's good to be here. I think we've got a pretty exciting show for you today and for the rest of the weekend.
Yes, unlike anything you've seen before. So this is brand new and we are going to knock it out of the park. So what we have tonight for you is Jay has actually put together a bunch of walkthrough. We're going to walk through every single stage. So you're going to get drone footage. You're going to get the written stage brief. He's going to show you all of the targets on the stage, and then you're going to get a first person walkthrough. So you'll see what they look like from the ground level. And then we'll talk some predictions. And then we'll sum it all up. So let's get to it. Here we go. All right, let's start with, I guess we should start with stage one.
Beginning's always a good place.
It is. And here
This
we
is
go.
Stage 1, Easy Peasy, sponsored by Hornady.
So here
It
is
is a
the
20-round,
drone
100-point Comstock course
of
of
stage
fire.
one.
There are 10 USPSA targets. The start position is standing anywhere in the shooting area.
Very
Handgun is
clean
loaded
stage.
and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
Audio playing out of the video.
That's where I'm not sure. It should, but I do not. I'm looking, I'm not sure. So
Well, they're at the beginning of most. By the time we get the first person, we should be good to talk. Even if they're not playing, then you can come back and discuss briefly.
correct.
This
So
is
here it is
Stage
again.
1,
So
Easy
what was
Peasy,
the-
sponsored by Hornady.
For this
It is
one,
a 20-round,
Jay, what was
100-point
the
Comstock
written
course of
stage
fire.
brief?
There are 10 USPSA targets. The start position is standing
I'll pause
anywhere
it
in
when
the
we get
shooting
to the
area.
targets.
Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
All right, you can pause here now.
Okay. So we are getting the volume
We
then.
are getting the volume. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So at this point, we're into the first-person stuff. Yeah. We'll be doing this format for all the stages, and I'll keep an ear out for when we're actually talking.
Okay. All right. So that was stage one. We don't need to watch it again.
Yeah, so that was a good one. It was on one of the more compact bays here at Greater Pittsburgh. There are a couple of flavors of stage in this match. I shot the staff.
Stage 1, Easy Peasy, sponsored by Hornady. It is a 20-round, 100-point Comstock course.
Oh, well.
Probably. We can keep playing if you want to mute the video playback there. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I do. Because I want to. Here, I'll just slide it. There we go. So everybody can see the stage.
Yeah. So this one was a start anywhere in the area. Stage, like I said, in the WSB. A couple of positions, some opportunities for shooting on the move. Good warm up if you're starting down there, and a good test of scale with a lot of passing lanes for entry and exit into positions.
All right. So that is stage one. Moving on to stage two.
This is Stage 2, Easier Said Than Done, sponsored by Excalibur Ammunition. It is a 20-round, 100-point Comstock course of fire. There are 10 IPSC targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists above shoulders. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, wrists above shoulders. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
All right, so there's the end of WSB now. This was another good one, I thought. It flowed well. There were a couple of different ways to attack it, depending on whether you prefer to advance or retreat. A fair bit of flexibility in plans for such a small stage. Another good use of the small bay, I thought.
Now there is once the first person video, there is something I want to go back to. I'm going to turn off the volume, make sure we don't get that again. But something I was talking to Jay about earlier, and I think, went a little bit further than I wanted. Where did it go? Okay. The start positions in this match are probably the cleanest start positions I've seen of any match in my short USPSA career. They're all marked well like this. And there are even some where you have to touch with your hands. There's no there are no questions as to how you do it. Like there are handprints that you put your hands on. So everybody's starting the exact same way. I really like the way they did those.
I'm not sure if that's another Sigma Artworks product. If you've been following along on my Instagram, you might have seen my interview with Ron Kiesel, who is behind a lot of the fancy moving targets here. He does this kind of metal fabrication for, I believe, for a living. So the fancy start positions, those may also be some of his products.
All right. All right, let's move on down to number 3.
This is Stage 3 Whatever, sponsored by JP Enterprises. It is a 26-round, 130-point Comstock course of fire. There are 13 IPSC targets. The start position is standing with hands flat on marks. Handgun is loaded and holstered. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock on belt, muzzle touching mark. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
You're not seeing anything at all on your end?
Yeah. So we have some slight technical difficulties here, possibly. Our apologies for that. This is, as we've said in a couple of places, the first time that... Oh, I got it now.
There we go. All right, I'll restart it. So this is Stage 3.
This is Stage 3 Whatever, sponsored by JP Enterprises. It is a 26-round, 130-point Comstock course of fire. There are 13 IPSC targets. The start position is standing with hands flat on marks. Handgun is loaded and holstered. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock on belt, muzzle touching mark. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
All right. So another one I think that came out really well. This is a fairly high round count match, but even shooting revolver, I didn't think it was unfair. A lot of room for shooting on the move. Not a lot of forced 8-shot arrays, which is always nice to see.
Looks like there's a good bit of movement too. There aren't too many just stand and shoot stages.
To some degree, like a flavor I associate with IPSC matches. There are only a couple of places where there are 2 targets placed side by side without any separation or difference in height or difference in presentation.
All right, so that was Stage 3. Moving along to Stage 4.
This is Stage 4 Threshold of Despair, sponsored by Glock. It is a 32-round, 160-point Comstock course of fire. There are 14 USPSA and 4 steel targets. The handgun start position is standing with hands flat on marks, handgun loaded and holstered. The PCC start position is standing with PCC held in both hands, muzzle touching mark. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage includes a bobber, which is activated by a full-size popper.
So one of the things I enjoyed about shooting this match is that they have come up with a bunch of ways to make bobber presentations more interesting and more challenging. Typically, when you see a bobber, you get like a pretty substantial bob. It'll start fully down and expose, say, like the entire lower A zone and some of the Charlie and Delta below it. This match, they've got a couple of hardcover bobbers, a no-shoot bobber, and one that just bobs a little tiny bit. It's just like very slightly up and down. It was kind of surprising, when you see it set off for the first time, you expect a lot more up out of the bobber, and this one just kind of just barely peaks.
It's like a mini bobber.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a mini popper and a mini bobber. So this is what I was talking about. So this stage right here is a prime example of where you have to start touching something, but your handprints are there. So you know exactly how the start position is.
There's no argument about
By a full-size popper.
Correct. And that's what I noticed today when I was just watching people shoot was everybody had their hands on the prints like that. So it was very good.
And I believe the ROs are going to make you do that too.
Everybody likes a port. And there weren't any crazy high ports, low ports, anything like that. Just
No,
ports.
There is on one stage a wall where, like a wall with a low port beneath it, but the low port doesn't actually point to any targets. I think it's just to scare you a little.
Oh, okay. We'll move on to this. So that was stage 4. Now we're going to move on to stage 5.
This is Stage 5, Another One Rides the Bus, sponsored by Vortex. It is a 30-round, 150-point Comstock course of fire. There are 11 USPSA and 6 steel targets. The start position is seated in the back of the bus, both feet on mark on floor and both hands flat on marks on seat. Firearm is unloaded on seat directly in front of competitor. One magazine may start on seat directly in front of competitor. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
So the bus stage. I think when people see a prop like that, they think gimmick, but this is actually, in my opinion, just a pretty good like little linear advancing stage. There are a lot of technicalities to it, a lot of marks to hit carefully. Very positional style of shooting, which is nice to see in contrast to some of the more flowing open stuff.
And you may have even seen Dave Wampler and Kevin Garospi did an Instagram live specifically about this stage. So there is a little more information out there as well with the targetry actually up. But again, not a high round count stage, also not a stand and shoot. You're still moving. You're having to grab your gun. It's not going to be holstered. So some unique differences with this stage.
Yeah, some very, again, I think a very clever use of the prop.
I think Chris Gilnett, if I read the matchbook properly, gets a 0 for this stage because he's not allowed to shoot in the bus. His gun's too loud. So there it is. Chris, you can come hang out with me instead of shoot this stage.
I will say I did shoot with a guy shooting open. Maybe not as loud as Chris Gilnett's guy.
No.
I've been adjacent to that, within a bay or two, and it's still
manageable.
It's an experience. But the bus actually is not as loud inside as you expect if you shot from inside of a car, say at other matches. It's just a big enough volume inside that it's kind of echoey and boomy, but it's not oppressive to the ears.
Yeah, I do think they made sure that nobody had any loose dentures or fillings or anything. They're going to RO that stage, knowing Chris is coming through there.
One other note about the bus. So, like a bus floor, especially where the seats are. If you watched in the video you saw them kind of moving side to side. A bus floor can be kind of slippery, but in this case, what they've done is they've stapled down sections of snow fencing and then I guess like chicken wire and other like fine metal mesh setup to provide excess traction, and it works really well. You won't slip in there.
Okay, there you go. I've not actually been in there, so that's good to know.
Fix that sometime.
All right, so that was stage 5. This is stage 6.
This is Stage 6, Ring of Fire, sponsored by Henning Group. It is a 25-round, 125-point Comstock course of fire. There are 10 USPSA and 5 steel targets. The start position is both feet touching mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage includes a sliding swinger, which is activated by a mini popper, and a bobber, which is activated by a full-size popper.
So this is the first of the stages with one of Ron Kiesel's crazy targets. The sliding swinger. It comes out relatively slowly, but it swings and slides pretty quick. So definitely keep an eye on that during your official walkthrough and plan accordingly. Of these two poppers, it's the far one that activates the prop as well.
And I'm sure you'll be seeing video of it tomorrow as people start posting their shooting videos. All right, so that was 6, and here is your stage 7.
This is Stage 7, Having a Good Day, sponsored by Masterpiece Arms. It is a 32-round, 160-point Comstock course of fire. There are 16 IPSC targets. The start position is standing anywhere in the shooting area. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
This one, so those two targets in the back, the ones I noted as being available from all three of the rightmost downrange positions, those are tuxedos at about 15 yards, so relatively challenging shots. They'd be, well, if you're confident, they're very tempted to take on the move, and you're confident in your ability to call your shots on tuxes at that distance. For me in Revolver, it ended up being a kind of turning the back into a 6 and a 4 instead of 2 8s. In open or carry optics, I think taking those on the move or taking them with a very brief pause is going to be a very important part.
This is Stage 7, Having a Good Day, sponsored by Masterpiece Arms. 32 rounds.
All right, so that was your Stage 7. Let's go to Stage 8. And we'll be there in just a second. There we go.
This is Stage 8. This is Stage 8, Twists and Turns, sponsored by Taurus. It is an 18-round, 90-point Comstock course of fire. There are 9 IPSC targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching mark. Handgun is unloaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is unloaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area.
This one, there's the low port I'm talking about that doesn't actually point to anything. It strikes me that a low port at a distance from a shooting area would be a very cool crop setup. Maybe worth setting up and trying sometime. Just thinking as an option.
Start saying your volume's a little low.
Okay. I'll also try and enforce some better mic discipline on myself as we go forward.
Let me make sure we're on up here too. There we go. Now try it, Jay.
How about now? How are we doing?
There we go. I like that.
Yeah, so
you jump there.
8 was a very interesting stage in that it had kind of some agility test elements. There's that sort of back and forth section in the middle where you're getting between two sets of targets. I think it was an interesting test of that kind of footwork skill. You rarely see that sort of thing divorced from shooting, which I personally appreciate that sort of change.
All right, that was Stage 8. Now let's go to Stage 9. And there you go.
This is Stage 9, Where Do I Go Next? Sponsored by FGS Engineering. It is a 28-round, 140-point Comstock course of fire. There are 12 USPSA and 4 steel targets. The handgun start position is standing with hands flat on marks. Handgun is loaded and holstered. The PCC start position is standing with PCC held in both hands, muzzle touching mark. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage includes a swinger and a max trap, both of which are activated by mini poppers.
Greater Pittsburgh leans pretty heavily on mini popper activators, which are interesting in that they don't offer you as much time between hitting the popper and the prop activating. There are a couple of places where I think it's easy to get into the trap of thinking you should go straight to the mover, but again, I think the winning stage runs are going to find some homework to do in between that popper and the prop.
And remember, Jay shot this match. I did not. So he's going to be our resident expert on these stages. All right. So again, that was Stage 9. Now we're going to look at Stage 10.
This is Stage 10, Against All Odds, sponsored by Mantis. It is a 31-round, 155-point Comstock course of fire. There are 13 USPSA and 5 steel targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching either mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage features 2 swingers at about 25 yards. The left swinger is activated by a full-size popper, and the right swinger is activated by a mini popper.
Well, they put a lot of the most challenging shots in the match on one stage here. Those poppers are at about 30 or 35 yards, and the swingers, as I said, are at about 25. This was actually the stage I started day 2 on, and it's a little bit daunting walking up and thinking, well, the first thing I'm shooting at is going to be a mini popper 35 yards away. But, you know, it's one of those things, a little bit of patience and a little bit of attention to your trigger, and you should get through it just fine. The back half of it kind of switched from that distance precision shooting skill test to a positional skill test again. If you kind of look through the port here as I'm sliding side to side, there are a couple of ways to take this. I think if you're confident, it might be better to try and do that on the move.
There you go. So this is going to be a test of confidence.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of score separation on stage 10. That's one we'll be keeping a close eye on, I hope.
All right. So that's stage 10, as Jay just said. Here is your stage 11.
This is Stage 11, No Pain, No Gain, sponsored by Shield Manufacturing. It is a 28-round, 140-point Comstock course of fire. There are 13 USPSA and 2 steel targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage features a swinger activated by a mini popper.
Another very positional stage. The key here, again, is going to be hitting your marks and making sure that you end up in the places where you can see the targets you need to see for a given spot.
And again, more movement. There's quite a bit of movement on these stages.
On this one, a good bit of running, primarily non-shooting running, of course, given the disjoint shooting areas. In general, I think this is a good match at not being like a foot race. This is a place where foot speed will pay dividends, though.
Okay. All right, so that was your stage 11. Let's take a look at stage 12.
This is Stage 12, It's Not Too Late to Turn Around, sponsored by Seymour. It is a 30-round, 150-point Comstock course of fire. There are 13 IPSC and 4 steel targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists below belt. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, stock touching belt. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage includes a dual sliding bobber and static target activated by a mini popper.
So sliding double bobber is not actually 100% accurate. It is, as I said in the voiceover there, a sliding carriage with a bobber on it and then a static target next to that. So one is sliding and one is sliding and bobbing at the same time. This is another one of the targets out of the Sigma ArcWorks repository of surprises. The bobber on there has also got a no shoot on it as it's set up now. So be careful.
Yeah. Be careful. That's a quick way to ruin your day.
I will point out that target to the far right. I looked at it through the port just a second ago in the walkthrough video, but you can get it from up on the port as well.
All right. That was stage 12. Let's take a look at stage 13.
This is Stage 13, Abandon Hope All Ye Who Enter Here, sponsored by Hunters HD Gold. It is a 22-round, 110-point Comstock course of fire. There are 7 USPSA and 8 steel targets. The start position is standing with both feet touching either mark. Handgun is loaded and holstered, wrists above head. PCC is loaded, held in both hands, wrists above head. Upon the audible start signal, engage targets as they become available from within the shooting area. This stage features 4 sliding mini poppers which activate in pairs. Each pair of sliding mini poppers is activated by an additional mini popper.
So when I did this video originally, they didn't have a couple of targets set up. We'll have to come back. We'll have to mute and come back to the overhead video in a second, Dave, so I can point this out.
You want to just go to the overhead now?
Let's do it.
Okay.
We kill the sound.
Yep. Sound is killed. Let's go all the way back here. Whoop.
So actually, right in the middle of the frame here, you see that plywood and rubber structure. That's a bullet trap, and there are now 2 targets placed on that, which brings the round up to where it's supposed to be from the stage briefing. This one, the start positions, I don't know if I pointed those out exactly. They're up in the front of the stage, closest to those sliding poppers.
I actually saw those, so let me. I'll go there. Actually, I wonder if you can. No.
Yeah, so they are like, if you see that sort of triangle of walls, I guess the diamond of walls in the middle of the footage there, just past the downrange end of that, on either side of the wall.
There you go.
Continues further downrange. Yeah, I guess I did point it out, but at the front of the stage. The sliding poppers, so all the other fancy targets here, they trap when they reach into the trap. These ones don't. They bounce. So the poppers are going to keep sliding for a while. There's not really a way for you to take the activator, do some other stuff, and then shoot static steel. You're probably going to have to take them on the move if you want to take them at a competitive speed.
All right, so that was your stage 13. One more stage left, and there's only one stage with a boat, and we haven't seen it yet. Oh, looky.
This is Stage 14, Don't Rock the Boat, sponsored by Phoenix Shooting Sports. It is a 12-round, 60-point Virginia count course of fire. There are 6 USPSA targets. The start position is sitting in back seat of boat. Handgun is loaded, laying inside box on platform pointed down range. PCC is loaded, laying on box pointed down range. String 1. Upon the audible start signal, engage each target with only 1 round each, strong hand only. String 2. Upon the audible start signal, engage each target with only 1 round each, weak hand only. This is Stage 14, Don't Rock the Boat, sponsored by Phoenix Shooting Sports. It is a 12-round, 6 Virginia count course of fire.
Yeah, so this one, the boat, it's not, I guess, maybe a bit of a gimmick in the sense that it's a prop that's unusual for the sake of being unusual, but in practice it's just basically a wobble bridge. It's difficult to see in the videos, but it's tethered at all 4 corners, so you can't flip it.
But it will rock.
It will rock. It's not a stable platform by any means, but it's also not one that's going to dump you directly into the water. If you look at the overhead video here, the one we've got paused on screen right now, you can see the back seat of the boat. It's marked with a GPGC, the little text there. That's kind of where you're sitting. The start position as written or as read to us during the staff sheet was hands on knees as well. And the box there is on the seat next up. It's a pretty good reach. You can't really get there without getting up somehow. Some people chose to kneel, some people stood, and I think those are pretty much your options.
Okay, and you've got a no-shoot partial on T4, huh?
Yep. And this, as I said during the briefing, is Virginia count 2 strings, strong hand string 1, weak hand string 2. So it's some relatively challenging shooting off of the bridge, even though those targets aren't very far away.
So there's no freestyle at all. Nope. It's just strong hand and weak hand.
Yes.
Okay.
There was originally, I think, there was some talk, I think, of making it a speed shoot as it was getting set up. But the concern was that people would, flip a magazine out to the side while reloading and then drop it into the pond. The pond is about 3.5 feet deep, so anything you drop in there probably is going to stay in there. And we figured, or the match team figured, it was probably better to let you keep your magazines in your gun.
So this is one of those stages where small kids need to stay away.
Yes.
or wear a life float, some type of flotation device. Now, so it's 1 round strong hand, then 1 round each weak hand. Correct. No reload in between.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So don't drop your gun. Yeah. Don't drop your gun. I tell you what, if this might be a good one to try to live stream.
Oh yeah, to get a camera out.
Yeah, to get a camera on this one just to see. Holy cow, I can see this taking 30 seconds for some people.
Oh yeah, I saw some pretty long strings.
Yeah, I believe it. Holy cow. All right, so guys, that is all of the walkthroughs. There are that's all the stages. So if you missed any of them, you can hit the replay on Rumble or YouTube, whichever one you're watching, whichever one you prefer.
Yeah.
But those are them now.
I will cut it and say I do plan on putting all of those up, all the individual videos up without the running commentary we did during this live broadcast. I'll have those on YouTube or something, and I'll make sure I get links out far and wide. I'll try and get the Greater Pittsburgh guys to share some. I'll put them in some Area 8 Facebook groups and so forth.
There you go. All righty. All right. So the other part of this is with Jay's Shooting Sports Analyst logo there. Let's talk predictions.
Let's. I'm going to.
And we already know there's been one change. At least one.
So the biggest one is that Christian Seiler is now shooting carry optics.
Cheater.
So I've got my predictions window shared, Dave. If you want to pop that up on screen.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. Let's go right there, and I will go back to our other screen wherever it went. There we go. And now I'll add that, and we'll kind of clean it up a little bit, maximize it so everybody can see it.
So for those of you who haven't played around with the predictions feature in Shooting Sports Analyst very much, so what it's doing here is it's taking the ELO ratings that I've calculated for shooters over the course of their major match careers going back to 2018 now. So you get your ELO rating from all your major match stages. And in this case, what it does is it sort of examines those ratings and makes predictions based off of the difference between each shooter. So what it looks like we're in for is a very exciting race between Seiler, who of course is the reigning carry optics national champion, and Jacob Hetherington, who is on an incredible hot streak lately. I think that's probably going to be one of the more exciting races to follow. Having Seiler in, I think between him, Hetherington, Leaguer, and maybe Tom Castor, if he had a very good match today. Tom Castor also, I should mention, shot the staff shoot. He's got other things to do this weekend.
As did Joey Sauerland.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so carry optics is going to be very exciting. I think if you look at the little prediction bars off to the side there, Dave, I don't know if you've got...
Yeah, I can move it back over. Yeah. Right there.
So there, those top two rows, Seiler and Hetherington, there's not a lot between them. Both are on relatively good trends. Both are, of course, incredibly skilled shooters, and I think that's going to be exciting to watch.
Okay, I'm gonna slide this back over, and we're gonna expand this a little bit just so we can really see what we've got. So it looks like we have Christian Seiler, according to the software. And look, if I was a betting man, I would probably bet that Christian Seiler will win it. However, as you said, I mean, you cannot count Jacob out.
No, absolutely not.
He has been tearing it up lately. And I mean, that's a small gap, 1884 to 1863.
Yeah, so in terms of in ELO rating terms, I think of anything less than about 50 is roughly a statistical tie. I think there's enough data behind it to say that there is like a difference, but it's not the kind of thing you're going to notice over the course of a match. That's the difference between somebody having a good day and a bad day. Certainly much less than that, I think.
And what's the interesting that Bill Drummond did? So, no, go right ahead.
Were you thinking Super Squad?
Yep.
Yeah. So Squad 408, a lot of the really high level competitors have been put on that squad. So we'll have something of a Super Squad to follow on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning. Obviously, keep an eye on our various social media things for live or near live updates, and we'll have, like our schedule says, twice a day update shows on scores and stats where we can bring you like curated runs and so forth.
Yeah. Morgan's going to be on there. Jacob will be on that squad. Christian will be on that squad. So in a way, it's kind of like a pre-Carry Optics Nationals match where you're going to have, I believe even Aaron Edens is on that squad too.
Yes, I think he's shooting open though.
Yeah, but he's still on
He
that
will be there
squad.
shooting
So
with them.
yeah, you're going to have some hell yeah competition on that squad shooting together, and literally Christian and Jacob shooting head to head 1 month, or 6 weeks prior to Carry Optics Nationals, shooting the same. I believe Jacob's shooting Carry Optics, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're going to be head to head. So that's going to be very, very interesting.
I kind of think of Hetherington's recent domination of Carry Optics matches as sort of a, like, I can shoot this too. I'm not just a production guy thing.
Yeah.
That's so when I got into the sport, when I started following things seriously, he was on a big production tear, winning that a lot. It's cool seeing him do work with high cap and the dot as well.
All right, what else do we have?
Well, we could talk a little bit about. I guess we could maybe a little bit further down the list. There's, I think, an interesting battle shaping up for the rest of the podium. I think it's probably likely that Seiler and Hetherington are going to be the top two. Vlieger, of course, according to the stats, he's an outside shot for a win, but I think a definite shot for a podium. Maybe second, maybe third.
So who's the software saying or predicting will take that third position?
So if you look at the three columns, low place, medium place, and high place in the middle there, that's kind of taking the scores that the prediction bars are generated off of and sort of comparing them and like seeing what people's expected lower and higher bounds are. So the median place, that's sort of where they're kind of sort of expected to finish. The high place is what the software thinks they can achieve at peak, and the low place is what it thinks they will almost certainly exceed.
So the software is saying there that John could win this as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at his prediction bars, he's a little bit more of an outside shot.
Right. You're talking about that right there?
Yep.
Right. Well, and I mean, if you look at the points ratings too, I mean, he's a little further behind at 1774, whereas, Jacob's 1863 and Christian's 1884. So there's a gap there. But I guess if he could hit on all cylinders,
exactly, yeah,
there's that outside chance.
One of the things I think is impressive about Vlieger is that he's a super squad guy in like 3 divisions.
Yes. Yeah.
There aren't a lot of guys who shoot not just open and carry optics. That's, I think, a more common combination, but open, carry optics, and single stack. He's also like a very good single stack shooter. It's impressive.
Well, and like you said about, Jacob being similar in that he shoots iron sights typically, and he's shooting optics and he's killing it too. But I think that just goes to show that when you're at that level, because Christian has done the same thing with Limited 10. He didn't have any issues winning nationals that year. I think they get to a point where it doesn't matter what. I mean, you could hand them, name a gun that you wouldn't buy normally, and they could beat 90% of the people with it. You could probably go out there with a 22 and make us all look bad.
Shooting a compact block.
Exactly. Something crazy. I'm trying to think of what's that one manufacturer of gun that everybody jokes about. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but
High Point.
Yeah, High Point. There you go. You could probably beat us with a High Point. It's ridiculous. All right.
So I guess that is the carry optics predictions, and I think that's the one everyone is always chomping at the bit to hear about. I've also got, not in quite as pretty a format, so I'll just open those probably myself and talk about them briefly if I can find them.
Okay. I'm thinking, I'm wondering now who, with Christian moving over to Carry Optics, which excites me because I was a little disappointed when initially he was signed up to shoot open. I was kind of surprised too with Carry Optics Nationals as close as it is. And knowing that Eric's coming over, he and Christian are going to have a big, it's going to be another threesome. It's going to be Eric, Christian, and Jacob. Pick one. And then who knows how the rest are going to fall out, because you still have John, you still have Nils, you still have Mason. You've got people that are still right there at that level, so it's going to be crazy.
Absolutely. I think there are at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 names I can think of who are absolutely 100% in it for Care Optics Nationals regardless, and then probably like 10 more who could win it if they hook up for like the duration of a match. It's there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there sure is. All right, I'm going to slide that over that way for now. I can bring it back in when we want to talk.
Yeah. If you
this is Carry Optics still.
Yeah. If you pop it off screen real quick, I'll switch it over to open next, I guess.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, open. Open is now in October. It was September last year, and it flipped with Handgun Nationals. Maybe I've got them backwards again. I keep getting those two backwards as to when they're going to actually be held.
All right, there's our. I've got our open list up so we can pop that.
All right, let me just kind of squish it down so we can get a better idea. There we go.
I didn't realize. I suppose I didn't look too far down the list when I generated these. There are a good number of very high quality open shooters coming to this.
Yep. I mean, Chris Tilley, Aaron Eddins, Bill Drummond, Dave Wampler, Eddie Garcia's on there, Chris Gelnett. My God, that gun is so loud. Newly minted GM Frank Gow.
Congratulations, Frank.
I mean, if I was shooting open and Chris was on the same squad, I would have to bow out. I'm done. And Chris, I'm giving you, it's all in love. So
I want to point out Greg Clement real quick.
Okay.
So he's, I believe, a Masterpiece Arms shooter. He's come up recently. I follow him on Instagram a little bit, and he looks pretty good. I mean, obviously the ratings say so too. To put him in the company of guys like Wampler and Gelnett.
Yeah.
So actually, if you look at the ratings column there, you'll see his is lower than the people immediately around him, and what that says is that he's on an upward trend right now. So his rating has been improving recently, more so than that of the people around him. So the system thinks he's going to continue on that trend and perform above where his rating would ordinarily just predict.
Interesting. Okay, so the software is recognizing the fact that he's been shooting better and better scores,
exactly, yeah.
And now it's projecting them to shoot again even better.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So he's definitely one to watch.
Okay. I like it. All right. That's seems to be a little bit more clear cut at the top in the projections on this one.
Yeah, definitely we've got Tilley and Eddins probably battling it out.
That'll be interesting.
Obviously, I don't want to count Bill out, but he is also, running this match. So there's obviously a performance penalty in running any match, especially like a big major like this.
Yep, absolutely. Even if he is taking a day to compete, it's still.
I was just saying the other night, I've been out here since Monday for fairly long hours. I got back home on yesterday night on Tuesday, and before the staff shoot, and thought to myself, man, I already feel like I've worked a whole major, and I haven't even been working that hard compared to a lot of the folks who've been more deeply involved in the effort to put on the match here at Greater Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're wiped out.
Everybody's been running around like ants, making sure everything's working properly. Absolutely. I mean, Ron Kiesel, you were talking about, there was with your stage that one time that the steel fell and something didn't release, and he was on your squad, so he was over there diagnosing the equipment and getting it fixed right. And
he put in a very good shoot given that. And I think the reason he shot the staff match as opposed to the main match, like some of the other Greater Pittsburgh guys are doing, is so that he can be available as kind of the moving target specific Mr. Fix-It. He built them, he knows them best. He'll be able to make sure they stay in good working order.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty impressive targetry for sure.
Absolutely.
So we've talked open, we've talked Carry Optics. Is there anything else that you think is intriguing enough race-wise?
I think everything else, like maybe PCC, everything else is relatively smaller than carry optics and open at the moment.
Right.
I do while I look through some files real quick to decide what I'm going to do next. I should point out that Joey Sauerland had he also shot the staff shoot and had a very good result, I thought. He's been on a little bit of a cold streak recently, according to my data at least, and I think he put in an extremely good performance today. So we'll see how he does against Shane Coley at the top of the limited.
Right. Yeah, so it's Shane. That's right. Shane's on that same 408 squad as well, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So you have Shane and Joey. Okay. So Team Glock and Morgan and Shane will be here. Interesting. Okay.
Here at the match, and I believe possibly here at the booth, right?
Yes. Morgan said she would stop by. So maybe we get her to drag Shane up here too. Oh, goodness. Let's see who we can't get up here. So we're definitely going to have some people stop by. Yeeman Lin will be out here at the match as well, and he said he will stop by the booth. So if we post that we're going to go live, I would definitely pop in, because you never know who's going to be sitting right here in between us and chatting about the match and their future, and maybe even the future of the sport. Who knows?
Very conceivable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so again, beyond that, we'll be out on the range too, circulating. If you see us, if you're coming to the match, and if you see us, well, stop and say hello. We'll try and get you on the air if we can. And
yeah, my knee still doesn't work, so I'm not going far from what you see right here. So just, if you're not sure where we're at, just ask where the pool is. We're right on the pool deck. So we'll have a chair right here. You can come on up. You can say hello, and you can say hello to everybody watching.
Yeah, I will. So for quick orientation, there's the clubhouse up that way, and stage 4 is right over there. So we're kind of squeezing between those.
Right in the middle. Can't miss us. Boy, I guess you could, but
now that we've told you don't have any excuse.
Right. All right. Can you think of anything else we need to cover before we sign off for the night and sign back on tomorrow?
I think that's all for tonight.
All right. Tomorrow